Hi, and welcome back to Biblical Theology, Exegesis, and Hermeneutics, where meaning is always driven by the context. I'm your host, John Strazisich, and today we'll be continuing on in our series, and we will be answering the fourth question on biblical cosmology. Okay, just by a quick way of review here, what we're doing is we have 10 questions here to test yourself, to see if you have a biblical cosmology or if the one that you have is actually a man-made cosmology. And looking at this questionnaire, you will be able to determine whether or not your cosmology has a biblical basis, or if it was completely made up from the current establishment of the educational system. So we'll begin here. Do you believe the earth is orbiting the sun? Do you believe the earth is spinning to create night and day? Do you believe the moon is a reflector of the sun's light? Do you believe the firmament is just the atmospheric expanse? Do you believe the sun is a star? Do you believe the earth is a planet? Do you believe that God created the planets? Do you believe that stars are massive and far, far away? Do you believe the sun is stationary in relation to the earth? And lastly, do you believe the earth is a sphere? Okay, so today we are focusing here upon the fourth question. Okay, so today, as we said here, our question here is, we're on the fourth one. So if you've missed the other ones here, you can go look back on the site and you can find where we've treated these in order. So today, on this fourth part, do you believe the firmament is just the atmospheric expanse? Now, for some of you that were old enough here when your first Bible at one time was basically the only available translation was the King James, and the translation here for the firmament, what was the firmament, and a lot of the newer translations has the word, expanse or atmosphere, and that is definitely, as we've already contended, a horrible translation, and as well as what all of the the lexicons of the Hebrew lexicons have also said that this is a horrible, translation to translate this as expanse or atmosphere. It misses the point completely. And you can, I already did some stuff on Genesis, on the second day, verses 6 to 8. It was all, nicely laid out there in three different, videos that are presentations that I did. That was very thorough. And we will, by and large, look at this in review. But definitely, the word firmament is probably our best translation at the Hebrew word rakia, and so atmospheric expanse is completely misses the point. Okay, now coming then here to question number 4: do you believe the firmament is just an atmospheric expanse? So we have to actually, go into some of these texts. We really kind of, we got to get into them and find out, where in the Hebrew Bible when it refers to the firmament. And let's just see if it appears as if it's just thin air, or if actually this firmament has some type of substance. So on the very first page of the Bible, Genesis 1:6, right here, okay, Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Bitok Hamayim, okay, and vihi mavdil bein mayim lamayim. So this just says, and God, Elohim, said, let there be a firmament, okay, a rakia, in the midst of the waters, and let it be a divider, okay, between the waters to the waters. So you got to remember, on day one, when God created the heavens and the earth was buried underneath a huge mass of water. Okay, and the Septuagint says the earth was invisible. Okay, because why? Because it was hidden underneath all the waters. Okay, and so on the second day, what God's doing is all these waters that are covering the earth. Then what happens is that they're divided in half, and they're divided in half by what God calls a rakia. So if you're going to, make something that divides a huge, oceanic mass size waters, okay, like all the waters of all the oceans, you just, double that. And that's what was on day one. And this mavdil, this rakia, this firmament, separated the waters that are above and the waters that are below. Okay, so it's separating oceanic masses of water apart from one another. So if you just think that somehow this is doing it without something hard or firm, then I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Okay. So something to separate huge masses of water is going to be something very solid, very firm. And that is exactly how the Hebrew Bible, understands this. And looking at verse 7, and God made the rakia, okay, he made the firmament, and he divided between the waters which were below the firmament and between the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called, Vayikra Elohim la rakia shemayim, and God called the firmament heaven. Okay, so now we know that another word for the rakia is heaven. Okay, now you remember, when we talked about Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows the works of his hands. Well, David was just creating, poetic distichs through Hebrew parallelism of from the words rakia and the word shemayim. Okay, and David, remember, there had a tent. Okay, so the tent that we all live inside of is the firmament. Okay, so it's likened to a tent. We'll see this. I mean, look at Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22, and the one who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are as grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens as a veil and spreads them out as a tent to dwell in. So we all live inside of a big tent. And what is the tent? The tent is the heavens, okay, that are over the earth. So the earth, you stretch out. A tent is put on flat land. So the earth is pictured as flat. There's a tent, and this tent, metaphorically here, is likened to cloth that is stretched out of the heavens. And this in Genesis, we would say, or in David, Psalm 19, the waters are above. There's the heavenly waters that are up here above, and all the waters that are below are down here in the oceans down here, that are, at the extremities of land masses, okay, what we call the oceans. And so this tent structure, and inside of the tent is the sun and the moon and all the stars. Okay, and this is what the tent, the sun's coming forth from his canopy, rejoicing like a strong man to run a race. So it's all like a tent here that, so this is Psalm 19. So the heavens are likened to a tent, that are stretched out above the earth. Okay, and this is definitely something very hard. I'm just in one instance they view it as something stretched out, as a tent, curtains. Okay, and then when we come here then to if we look, we can look here at Ezekiel. And the likeness above, and this is Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 22, and the likeness above the heads of the creature was a firmament, okay, as the appearance of terrible ice or crystal. So I think crystal is probably a better translation. So there's something that's stretched out, there's some likeness above the heads of these creatures, that these block-headed, cherubim. They have the face of a man and a bull and an eagle and an ox, okay? And they have 4 wings, and they have these wheels that are at right angles within themselves. And above these 4 creatures is a platform that's called a rakia, okay? And on this platform is a throne. Okay, and this platform above, that's stretched out above the heads of the cherubim, is called a rakia, a firmament, and its appearance is as terrible crystal upon which a throne is placed. So of course it's something hard. It's something that a throne can sit on top of. Okay, so this expanse that they talk about, for their translations, it's confusing you, because if you want to keep your expanse, you should say it's an expanse of something that's hard or firm, stretched out. Okay, that's the idea in the Hebrew mindset. Okay, and that is this is exactly how we're reading this. Okay, so let's come back here to Ezekiel. Okay, 1:22, and the likeness above the heads of the creature was a rakia. Okay. And the appearance of terrible crystal stretched out above their heads upward. And under the rakia, their wings were straight, each one towards the other. Each one had 2, basically 2 wings, which were covering themselves, and each had 2 covering their own bodies. Okay, and then verse 24. And I heard the sound of their wings as the sound of many waters, of Mayim Rabim. Okay, as the sound of the Almighty when they went, the sound of a tumult as the sound of a camp. Whenever they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice or a sound above the rakia, okay, above the firmament, okay, which was above their heads. Whenever they stood, they let down their wings, and above the rakia, which was above their heads, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, as a throne. Okay, upon the likeness of the throne, the likeness of the appearance of a man upon it, above. And I saw as the appearance of amber, as the appearance of fire within it round about, from the appearance of his loins, okay, and upward, okay, and from the appearance of his loins and downward, I saw as the appearance of fire, and it had brightness to it round about, as the appearance of a rainbow, okay, as a bow, which is in the cloud on the day of rain. Thus is the appearance of the brightness round about. that is the appearance of the likeness of the glory of Yahweh. And I saw, and I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice midaber, speaking. And then that goes into chapter 2. So what's going on here in this text in Ezekiel? He sees, the 4 cherubim, and above the heads of these cherubim is this terrible appearance of this crystal-like substance that is called a rakia, or a platform, stretched out above the heads of the cherubim, upon which is a throne. And Yahweh sitting upon this throne, and he's pictured as glowing plates of metal, and there's a rainbow about him. And as a rainbow in the day of a rain, and this is the appearance of Yahweh, that was brightness and the appearance of the glory of Yahweh, and he fell upon his face. Okay, and so this is basically kind of a lot like what John saw. We saw in the book of Revelation that he said, "Come up to heaven." So there was a door in heaven. So he went up to heaven. Okay, he went through the rakia. Okay, the firmament. And what did he see when he got up there? He saw a sea of glass like unto crystal. So he's on top of the ocean, the heavenly ocean. Okay, and there's a throne. Okay, and upon the throne is Yahweh sitting, and there's an emerald rainbow about Yahweh. That's exactly what basically John the Revelator is taking his cues from the book of Ezekiel, and that's how God chose to show himself to John, just like somewhat he showed himself to Ezekiel. And we can see that it was a sea of crystal, okay? And this is what Ezekiel sees here. He sees, he sees the firmament as some terrible crystalline substance that's stretched out above the heads of the cherubim. So this is a vision of the creation, okay? And so in this vision that Ezekiel is in, he's by the canal, Kevar, that's in the territory of Babylonia, okay, and he sees this whirlwind coming, from the north, and in this whirlwind he sees this vision of these 4 cherubim, and above the heads of these cherubim, and these are massive, and he sees this throne and God sitting up there on top of it. And this is, but the throne is seated upon something that appears as if it's crystalline. It's terrible crystalline substance stretched out above the heads of the cherubim. So this is just basically it's like a microcosm of what God created in Genesis 1, the earth. Okay, so and we saw here, in Isaiah that Yahweh sits above the circle of the earth. He looks down, and the inhabitants are like grasshoppers, and it says that he stretches out the heavens like a veil, and he spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. Okay, this is what we just read here. Okay, he spreads them out as a tent, and this is the tent of David in Psalm 19. We looked at that previously. Okay, so the metaphor of the tent here, in here it's more pictured as something hard and crystalline in nature, and that would afford us going back to Genesis 1 here and looking here at Ezekiel 122, and then if we look here at Amos, okay, Amos, this is chapter 9 verse 6, the one who builds, and we'll take the Curie reading here, the one who builds his upper chambers Bashamayim in the heavens, and founds it, that is his agudato. This is its supports upon the earth. Okay, so Yahweh is the one who builds his upper chambers in the heavens, and its supports, or his supports, he has founded upon the earth. So these upper chambers that are up in the heavens, their supports are fixed and founded upon the earth. So this is what the earth is pictured like this right here, something flat, and we got the heavens that are stretched out above us, and the supports, okay, are fixed upon the earth. Heavens, the upper chambers of his upper chambers, they're fixed upon the earth. So this is where the heavens connect to the earth here, okay? And this is, remember, is pictured as the blue sky, okay? So the blue sky is the firmament, and it's stretched out over the earth, but it is founded upon the earth. And this is what this text says, okay? The heaven meets earth, and it's founded, it's built upon the foundation of the earth. That's its foundation, its supports, its agudato. And I do think that Francis Anderson and David Noel Friedman, I think in their translation of their excellent commentary there, in Acre Bible commentary series, they put supports, and I kind of like that. Most translations put they're going to put some type of their translations differ. Okay, you should read that in the different translations. This agudato is going to have just different translations. But I think support here is probably the best. I think that's good enough here for this. We'll look at another slide here to give some kind of support to this reading. Okay, now coming here, we're going to look at Josephus here. This is an important text here. And Josephus here, this is an artist's rendition here of Josephus. And he lived at the end of the first century, so when some of the apostles were still yet alive. And he says this concerning Genesis 1. He's offering his translation here. Now, after this, on the second of the days, he placed heaven, uranon, over the whole. When, after separating it from the other things, then it says here, he deemed to partition it by itself, both having pitched up about it crystal, and having, we can say, harmoniously fashioned to the earth for, we can say, for moisture and for rain and for the benefit of dews. Okay, so what this is very important here. How Josephus here interprets the second day. Okay, crystal. He says that he's referring to the heavens. Okay, and we got to read through this again, and he's using the term crystal because he's taking from his ideas, just like I did previously. He took them from Ezekiel. Okay, and he's interpreting this, and this is how the early Jews interpreted Genesis. Okay, now after this, on the second of the days, this is talking about the second day of creation, he placed heaven over the whole. So remember, he called the firmament heaven. Okay, so he placed heaven over the rest. That means the earth. Okay. And it says, and when, after separating it, that this is auton, it means referring to the heavens, from the other things, okay, he deemed to set it by itself. Okay, and then we have some of these adverbial participles here again, having pitched up to it. Okay, this is auto, referring to the heaven. Okay, back here to auton, back here to uranon. Okay, he pitched up to it crystal. Okay, so now the heavens are, it's crystalline. Okay, about it, and then it says, and having artistically made it harmonious to the earth. So now it's being attached to the earth. This crystalline substance is being attached to the earth. Now, just like Amos said, right? Okay, it's his upper chambers he built in the heavens, and he founded, it supports. Okay, it's the supports of these upper chambers are founded upon the earth. Okay, so this is this is what he's saying here. So it says, and having artistically made it harmonious to the earth for nation, okay, for moisture and for rains and for the benefit of dews. Okay, so this, Josephus sees the same thing here. This is just typical interpretation, a Jewish interpretation that goes all the way back to the 1st century. Okay, then coming here to this slide, this is going to be a secondary independent witness like Josephus, an early Jewish interpretation of the cosmos, which will conform exactly as we understand reading Genesis. We're just reading it along with the community of Israel as they understood it. And this all here is very early. This is in the Mishnaic period. And some of this book scholars have understood that they have maybe had their final touches by later editors up until about 900 AD. So it still represents a very, very early view of creation. And it says here, Kirkose Hashemayim bimeme okiyanos heim achozim. So I'll just interpret this stuff. The clasps of heaven, they took hold on the waters of the ocean. Whose waters of the ocean stood between the ends of the heaven and between the ends of the earth. And the ends of the earth, they took hold upon the waters of the ocean, whose waters of the ocean were between the ends of the earth and between the ends of the heaven. And the ends of the heaven, they were spread out above the waters of the ocean. As it is said, the one who builds his upper chambers in the waters. And so this is, he's referring here, either back to Amos 9 or to Psalm 104. And maybe Psalm 104 may be the actual place. And then we have here Tochan here, Shel Shemayim. So this is their insides or their midst of the heavens were going upward as a circle. Okay, it is as a tent spread out to their ends downward. So is the heavens; their ends are downwards, and their middle parts upwards as a tent. As it is said, he spreads them out as a tent to dwell in. And their insides were upward, and all the sons of men dwell under it. And so what he's doing here, he's referring to the heavens as a circle, okay, which go up. So the heavens are kind of like a half circle that go up, okay. and these clasps of heaven, they take hold on the waters of the oceans. Okay, so the heavens are stretched out here, you know, and they take hold on the waters of the ocean. Okay, so remember, he founded his upper chambers, you know, upon the earth, so it's fixed here. So these clasps of heaven, you remember, he's taking this, the clasp here of heaven, it's a metaphor for the clasp of the curtains of the tabernacle that make a tent. Okay, so this is all the tent, you know, this is all like a tent here that he's, you know, Ohel here, down here, where he's referring to that, you know, he's referring here to Isaiah 40:22, that we all live inside of a tent. This is where the sons of man, we all live inside this tent. Okay, you know, and it's, you know, the heavens, their insides, they go up and upward, and it's as a tent. Okay, and so the heavens are here, and that they're, you know, and the waters are, you know, above them, and they come down, and they clasp, you know, to the waters of the sea. The heavens do, and it's just like the curtains of the tabernacle are being joined one to the other, so that the tabernacle may be one. So he's using that analogy here then to talk about the physical nature of the heavens, how they're clasped and tied to the earth, so that the you know, the structure of the universe is like a tent. Okay, and Yahweh, remember from Ezekiel, is seated above this, you know, throne, you know, heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. He looks down, you know, at them as a, you know, the inhabitants are like grasshoppers. And so this is all in conformity here with Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, chapter 3. You can read this for yourself. I'm not creating something of myself. This is all just, you know, how, if you were to be in, you know, graduate school, now they wouldn't believe this stuff. Okay, all right, but they're saying that this is the Hebrew Bible's conception. I'm just saying that, you know, this stuff actually does make sense, and whatever we were told about the universe is definitely not true. And you know, we've that's what we're discussing. We are looking at biblical cosmology. Okay, this has been another session of Biblical Theology, Exegesis, and Hermeneutics, where meaning is always context-driven. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully this has been beneficial to you, and hopefully, you know, this is something that you should start considering and weighing. You know, you should be aware of biblical cosmology. Now, you know, whether you're going to jump on board, but you do need to be aware that the Bible's cosmology is something vastly different than what we've been taught. And as you keep going on in this, you will see that it is the world that God created.